Back when Xenoblade Chronicles 3 was first announced, I thought I knew Xenoblade. I had played the games when they originally launched. I had played it on multiple replays. I'd played Xenoblade Chronicles 2 and Future Connected and Torna, and I thought that I really knew everything. But after they announced Xenoblade Chronicles 3, I was thinking, there's a lot of story here. Seems like it's going to wrap everything up. Maybe I should go back and play a bit more, go back and look at some of the videos explaining everything. And as soon as I did that, especially with the videos, my mind was blown how much information, how much details, how much little things here and there that can make all the difference in the enjoyment of Xenoblade that I missed on all of my playthroughs. So since that point, I've been watching videos, I've been scouring the internet, I've been playing once again, and I've finally gotten to a very good and firm grasp on the Xenoblade story, and this is excluding Xenoblade Chronicles X, which we'll get into, the Xenoblade story of the main number games and their little offshoots that they do, and also the overall arcing, I would say, main points that you need to know heading into Xenoblade Chronicles 3. Now, with Xenoblade Chronicles 3 looking as good as it does and so many people excited for it, I want to make sure that you guys get ultimate and maximum impact of the story of the game to really get the enjoyment out of it, because I can tell you guys something right now. Yes, you might have beaten Xenoblade Chronicles 1 or 2 or watched the lore video, but I'm telling you, if you fully understand the exact story, the full story of how Xenoblade Chronicles 1, 2, Future Connected, and Torna all work, that is going to give you so much more excitement heading into Xenoblade 3. And in this video, I'm going to go over a complete guide and also with links and resources to make sure that you completely understand what is going on with the Xenoblade story heading into Xenoblade 3 so you can get the most enjoyment out of it. Now, this will be non-spoilers, so don't worry about me spoiling any of the late parts if you haven't beat Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition, or if you haven't beat Xenoblade 2 or Torna or anything. You can still do all that, but what I'm going to do is give you guys the basic layout for multiple tiers of different types of people depending on your situation. Now, what are those situations? Well, you have people who have never played Xenoblade before, so I'm going to explain a few things. People who have played but maybe don't understand everything, and then people who have played, understand, but want a full comprehensive look at everything when you follow all of the different things that I'm going to get into either in this video and also in the link in the description below. These are videos where I've scoured the internet and I have looked for the best explanations of Xenoblade Chronicles 1, Xenoblade Chronicles 2, and an overall timeline kind of putting things together, excluding Xenoblade X. So after you watch these 3 videos, and I suggest watching them multiple times, but some people can really comprehend and understand a bit faster, just make sure that you understand the basis here, and you will be good heading into Xenoblade 3, and you are going to appreciate the story, and also, I would say, even mixing with it, the gameplay even more when you understand these concepts here. Now, before we get into all of that, guys, please, if you enjoy this type of content, please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, and click that notification bell for all of the latest Xenoblade, Nintendo, RPG news out there. I'm covering it pretty much every day on this channel, so I do appreciate everybody who does support in that way. Now, let's talk about this, because Xenoblade Chronicles 1, Xenoblade Chronicles 2, and of course Xenoblade Chronicles 3, along with the 2 separate extra stories with Xenoblade Chronicles Future Connected and also Xenoblade Chronicles 2, Torna the Golden Country, those are the main games that you need to know about. Now, Xenoblade Chronicles X, that game is right now, it could be connected, especially if you like play Future Connected. There's definitely some things that where they could connect it, but that's not really going to be something that we talk about right now, or we talk about in this, or for you to understand or know the story or anything that happens in that game. Right now, it's just the 2 main games and their DLCs or their offshoots with that. Now, with this here, before we head into some other things with the game, for those that are complete newbies and beginners and want to know more about it, these are the things, for those who have already played the game and you're going to go straight to the videos, these are the things that you really need to make sure that you understand. Understand who Klaus is, understand who Galea is, understand what the conduit is, understand what is Earth, understand what happened with the Trinity processor, and the 3 cores of the Trinity processor, in addition to the main characters like Shulk, Rex, and also Nia. These are all characters, plus there's a bit more, but I don't want to get into any spoilers. So you need to make sure that you have a firm grasp of those characters, those things that I talked about after you've done everything here. Because I can tell you guys, for me, myself, like I've played Xenoblade multiple times and I did not have a firm grasp of all of the characters, their motivations, their ambitions, what they are, what they do, and everything. Like I really didn't. I thought I did, but I didn't until after I watched those videos, which really explained in depth, in detail with it. And you can watch all of the videos that I'll have linked. You can watch them in less than 2 hours. So it should take you less than 2 hours to watch all those videos and really understand what is going on. Now, with all of that out of the way, we're gonna go into the basis of Xenoblade Chronicles and why you should get into this franchise, what's going on with it, how is the gameplay, and just my own unique perspective and take on what makes this game so good and how to further enjoy the games, because they are kind of different. They play different, and that's been some of the criticism, or one of the criticisms that I see quite a bit with Xenoblade outside of technical stuff. It's like, well, the combat, it's not really for me. Well, let's break it down a little bit, especially starting with the first game, which most of you guys, if you haven't played it or if you're going to play it, would start off with Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition. And I'm going to go in order and what I feel that you should play the games in. So starting off at the beginning, Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition. Now, there are 2 parts to this. You have the original game, then you also have Future Connected, and you can play it straight through. Now, the game, it's very easy to play starting off at first, and then layers of depth kind of go on. You have auto attacking, where you have to make sure that you position yourself in order to knock your enemy down and also do maximum damage and beat them as fast as possible. Now, the reason why that there's auto attacking in the game, that might be an odd move to some people. Why not just have straight up contextual button presses? Well, the reason why is because the game takes a long time, especially if you're around the same level as an enemy. It's not going to be something to where you can hit the button like 5 or 7 times or more, then just do this huge combo and destroy them in half a second. So they do auto attacking so you can focus on positioning, so you can focus on getting the right tactical advantage, making sure that you're giving commands to your teammates the best of the ability, and make sure that you put yourself in position to do crazy damage, whether that's through a chain attack or that's through toppling an enemy, and also just doing maximum amount of damage that you can do, because this fundamental battle system plays a part when you play the big bosses and the side quests and other things like that. So it does take a little bit of time to get used to, but once you start getting used to positioning yourself on the side to do certain arts and skills, to do stuff like the classic Shulk backslash, it really starts becoming fun, especially when you understand exactly what role each character has and exactly how they're supposed to be playing it. Now, this isn't an in-depth tutorial or guide on how to play Xenoblade. It's just giving you guys the fundamental and basis of what's going on with Xenoblade, how it plays, why it plays that way, and kind of a little few things that you can do as well. So make sure when you go into it, and this is probably the biggest thing that I would say for new players, Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition has this really weird thing to where you can't change the mapping inside of the game because you have to constantly switch arts on the bottom palette. And I remember watching a video where they used button mapping on the Nintendo Switch controller in order to make Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition so much more enjoyable to play, and that is the case. So make sure when you're playing Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition that you change the button mapping in the Switch home menu. Change it to where you can use the top buttons to change the art, so you're not constantly moving your finger from the analog stick back and forth from the D-pad to position yourself. You can move, position, and change arts very freely. That's the best thing to do right there, and it makes the game so much more enjoyable because you can do that. So once you get through Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition, and even if you need to, use the casual mode. You'll be able to get through the game without having to grind too much. So there's a way for everyone to play, no matter your skill level. You can get into Xenoblade Chronicles before Xenoblade Chronicles 3 comes out. Now with Xenoblade Chronicles 1 or Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition finished, let's go ahead and move into Xenoblade Chronicles 2. Now Xenoblade Chronicles 2 does a number of things differently than Xenoblade Chronicles 1. Now you still have the auto attacking, you still have the skills or the arts per se, to where when you're on the side, you can do things to debilitate an enemy, you can do things behind to get some extra damage, but they've added in a few different status effects to what you can actually take down an enemy by toppling them, you can launch them into the air, and then you can also slam them down. So they added in some new combos, and they also still have the chain attacks. Plus, they also added in another thing with the elemental attacks of blades. And this is kind of one of the things that I would say kind of confuses people quite a bit with Xenoblade Chronicles 2. Well, you can also no longer move and attack at the same time. So you have to make sure that you're positioned first and then you start your attack. But the blades are a point of contention because people see it as like a weird gotcha type of thing when it comes down to it. But here's what I'll say with this. You can ignore a lot of the blade stuff in Xenoblade Chronicles 2. A lot of the rare blades that you get just naturally through the game, or if you just kind of have some rare core crystals here and there, you'll get some rare blades and you don't have to do everything for every single blade. That's what I would say right now. If you're not into the blade system and you're not into doing and opening up all the core crystals and all of that, that's okay. You can still play through the game, enjoy the really well-crafted story and the combat without worrying about all the different blade stuff. Now, of course, if you do it, it gives you way more rewards, but you don't have to. And in Xenoblade Chronicles 2, there is a custom slider for difficulty in the game. You can slide anything that you want in terms of the enemies and how things work. So if you're not very good at the game and you want to be able to beat it easier without having to grind or get the best blades or anything like that, you can completely fine-tune and adjust it. And the best thing about all of this is that if you're playing the game at this point, it has all of the updates, all the things to kind of fix up the game that people that were playing at launch didn't have, in addition to all of the extra content and DLC. Now, after you've played through and beat Xenoblade Chronicles 2 or understand the story, obviously, Xenoblade Chronicles 2 Torna the Golden Country is next, where they fixed up a number of things. They have a great tutorial in Xenoblade Chronicles 2 Torna the Golden Country, which I'll just call Torna for this video. They have a great tutorial in there, which Xenoblade Chronicles 2 did not have. And in this one, they get rid of all the different blades and the core crystal opening and give you a bunch of really good blades pretty much from the beginning of the game for you to play through and have fun. It's a short experience. It's about maybe 20 hours to 30 hours, depending on how you play or what side quests that you do. And it really just tells the backstory, a prequel to Xenoblade Chronicles 2. And it's extremely important to understand Pyra, Mithra, Malos, the characters in the game, and what happens in there. So just make sure 100% that you understand everything with Torna the Golden Country and what happened, because that is Pyra and Mithra's origin story, along with Malos as well. So those are all very important things. And I want to make sure that I add in one more thing there. I did talk about the Trinity processor at the beginning, but make sure, of course, you know Malos, Pyra, Mithra, all super, super, super important with this. Now, with Xenoblade Chronicles 1, Definitive Edition, done. Future Connected, done. Xenoblade Chronicles 2, done. Torna, done. You are now free to kind of look into everything heading into Xenoblade Chronicles 3. So what's that going to be? It's going to be going to the link in the description below and making sure that you understand, like I talked about, the main key points. I have an overall arcing story by Linkalot that I've linked as well, no pun intended. I have a story there that I've linked that he did a great timeline explanation. He doesn't go in depth and in detail into Xenoblade Chronicles 1 and 2 in the events. He gives you an overall arcing story with Xenoblade Chronicles 1 and Xenoblade Chronicles 2, in addition to Torna as well, although he does leave out Future Connected. And for that reason, I've also linked to other videos as well with, I think it's OtakuDaiKun, I think that's him. He has a video going through the complete lore of Xenoblade Chronicles 1. That's about 40 minutes or so. And then I also have a video by Luxin, who he's went over everything with Xenoblade Chronicles 2. And of course, all of that will be in the links in the description so you guys can do that. Trust me on this one, you're going to want to watch these videos on your free time. You're going to want to understand all of the characters and what's going on with Xenoblade Chronicles 2, Xenoblade Chronicles 1, and the whole story. When you finally understand it, I'm telling you, it's like a light bulb goes off in the head, and the endless possibilities and the stories that Takahashi and Monolith Soft, along with Nintendo, have crafted are just absolutely legendary, and it's going to hype you up and get you ready for Xenoblade Chronicles 3 because things are going to come to an epic conclusion, it seems, based off of the little information that they've revealed with Xenoblade Chronicles 3, and you're going to want to understand heading into it because I'm telling you right now, guys, my hype level was already a 10, but after I really got a firm grasp of everything and really understood the stories of Xenoblade 1 and 2 and the world of the game, my hype meter went up to like 20, like doubled plus, and I was already max hyped for this game. So those are my thoughts and my complete guide getting into Xenoblade with some base stuff with Xenoblade 1 and also Xenoblade 2, and most importantly, all of the resources that you guys need to get in. Whether you're someone who wants to actually play the games and understand from there, whether you're someone who's already played them and you don't have the time, but you want to understand everything is linked for you and ready to go. What are your overall thoughts? How hyped are you heading into Xenoblade? Are you going to try out some of the stuff that I talked about here? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. All right, guys, that wraps it up for this video here. Thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it. Please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, click that notification bell, and we will see you for the next video. Peace.